Welcome back to the podcast. Today, Connor is flying from Nepal. He's got a crazy schedule, so I am going to be doing the podcast solo. I want to tell you about Anthropic's Claude, some cool new updates. As you know, if you've listened to this show for a while, you've heard me, because Connor actually loves Anthropic's Claude. He uses it to help him with a lot of writing tasks for LinkedIn and other things. He just likes the tone better. The thing that I have criticized it the most about over the last year is that it does not have the ability, or didn't have the ability, to scrape the web. All of that has changed. Claude has now added the capabilities to search the web. There's a bunch of cool new features, a bunch of things they've been talking about in their blog post in relation to this. And we're getting some really interesting sleuthing from developers on how they're actually making this happen, what they're using to power the search functionality. I'm going to get into all of that in the podcast today. Before we do, I wanted to mention that if you've ever wanted to grow and scale your business using AI tools, I have an exclusive school community I built called AI Hustle, where every single week I record an episode breaking down the exact AI tools and workflows I use to grow and scale businesses using AI. So it's called the AI Hustle School Community. I'll leave a link in the description. In the past, I had this at $100 a month, and I have currently dropped the price to about $19. So if this is something you're interested in, I would love to have you as a member of the community. I have over 300 members, and I have recorded over 50 videos going on deep dives into software, processes, all the numbers I can't share publicly. It's an amazing community with tons of great feedback. So links in the description. Let's get into what Claude is doing today. So the first thing that I think is really interesting here is that Claude essentially took so long to announce this feature. And the reason why essentially they have, said that it's taken them so long is because they like the reasoning, at least publicly anyways, was that they wanted to create a tool that was self-contained, quote unquote self-contained. You see this written all over everything they do. They're like, we created an AI model that's self-contained. What they didn't want was an AI model that was out in the open, scraping the web, possibly, wreaking havoc. What if, AGI is achieved and the AI is not good? And so this is kind of like the concept. They wanted to make it self-contained and it can't get out and take over the world. So I think we've potentially proven, and maybe if you're like a big AI alarmist, you think I'm going off the deep end, but I think we've proven with all of the companies that are doing this, there are safe ways to have the AI search the internet. We went through a lot of issues. You had, of course, OpenAI getting sued by the New York Times because when they were scraping, New York Times articles, they were scraping ones that were paywalled. And so people would say, hey, they'd put in the title of the article and be like, hey, what is this article about? And ChatGPT would summarize the whole article or even copy and paste chunks from it, but it was like paywalled. And so New York Times sued them. There's all this lawsuit. When that happened, ChatGPT literally had to take the search down. And it took like 6 months before they got it back up again. This is, back in the day, right after GPT-4. So I remember this being a big deal. And Anthropic really sort of skirted around all of these. You could say they were, some people say that they were like, not progressing as fast as they should have, not being competitive in the market. But for whatever reason, they did that. And now they have changed their tune. So evidently, it's not just, for safety, or maybe they're just trying to be competitive with everyone else in the market. So this is what they said in their blog post when they kind of made this big announcement. They said, quote, when Claude incorporates information from the web into its responses, it provides direct citations so you can easily fact check sources. The company also said, quote, instead of finding search results yourself, Claude processes and delivers relevant sources in a conversational format. This enhancement expands Claude's extensive knowledge base with real-time insights, providing answers based on more current information. Okay, obviously, this is making it better, is what they're basically saying. What's interesting to me here, I love that they're doing the citations. This is something that I think a lot of the players are doing responsibly, is adding the citations in there. So you can go check the sources. That makes a lot of sense. So, we have a bunch of people that are testing this and looking at it. It's interesting because I, for one, actually do not have a premium Claude subscription at this time, although I probably should go get one now. And that is because up until this point, it didn't have this feature. So I was like, I'm not going to get too embedded into Claude's ecosystem. I don't know if I want to pay for this, all things considered. So I think that this makes it significantly more competitive in the market at this point. ChatGPT has this. Grok has this capability. And the big one that I was using, like if I wanted to use Claude with search at this point, I was just using Perplexity. And Connor talks about Perplexity all the time. He's a huge fan. And the great thing about Perplexity is you can switch between the AI model and you get this chat with of course, web results built into it. So I think a lot of people were like, whatever, if Claude doesn't do it, we'll just use Perplexity. And I'm very curious to see what impact this change here has on Perplexity's bottom line. Because Perplexity, again, remember, just last week is said to be in talks to raise $1 billion in $18 billion valuation. I'm curious if Claude adds this, how that will impact user growth. Now, the reason why I think Perplexity is okay for now, because you can actually use Perplexity for free. And they have a lot of really cool programs to also get free if you want Perplexity Premium and all this kind of stuff. This feature here, which I should mention, is only available to Claude paying users. Like I mentioned, I'm not a paying user. And so when I went and asked it, what's the weather in San Francisco is kind of my basic thing I ask to test if they have real responses, because some people are like, oh, like, why do I need web browsing? There's like so much, it already sucked up all the data in the internet. There's some very basic things: sports results, weather, time zones, like, I don't know, there's all these different, like, there's like very basic things that you might ask every single day, weather, for example. So anyways, that's kind of my go-to. But its response to that was, I don't have access to real-time weather data or the ability to check current conditions in San Francisco. My knowledge cutoff date was October 2020. And yeah, it knows what today's current date is. It's like, you can go check websites like weather.com or the AccuWeather, or, using the weather app on your phone. So it's like trying to send me other places. Of course, you can imagine why this is a bad idea for the company and why this would, be losing users. You think of a company like Facebook, their entire goal is to just keep you into their ecosystem as much as possible, to the point that it drives me crazy. I use Facebook Messenger, all my family that lives in Canada, weird texting stuff between America and Canada. And so when I'm texting them, I guess WhatsApp is a good thing, but it's like WhatsApp is not very popular in Canada for some reason. I know it's more international. So anyways, we all use Messenger. And when you send someone a link in Messenger, if I click on that link, it doesn't open it in my browser on my phone. It like opens it in a miniature browser inside of Messenger, which is so annoying and kind of nerfed. And like, you got to like click it in a special way to get out of that. But the point is, Facebook is trying to keep you inside their ecosystem. They're like, we're not sending you over to Safari or sending you over to Google Chrome or Brave or whatever your web browser is. They're like, we want to keep you inside of the Messenger app to view everything and to see everything. I also imagine there's some sort of like data scraping where if they keep you in there, they can like see what you're looking at and stuff. So, that's just the Eye of Sauron from Facebook going on, so they can get all your perfect ad recommendations. But in any case, I digress on that point. You can imagine why this is the way to go. You have something like Claude here, where when they don't have the internet built into it, they're telling me to go to weather.com and AccuWeather and download the app, or ask a virtual assistant with internet access. Like, how is that that's literally one of their things. I'm like, what's the weather? Like, go ask a virtual assistant. Yeah, let me just go hop on Upwork real quick, hire a virtual assistant, and ask them with internet access. Anyways, okay. It's just ridiculous that they don't have this capability, so they finally added it. They don't have it to the free version. I'm not really sure what the cost is, because I think a lot of these chats, things like Perplexity, will have this in the free version. So I'm not really sure what their reasoning is. Maybe they're trying to just roll it out to a smaller subset of people before they roll it out to everyone for beta tests or for like user testing and that kind of stuff. But in any case, it's not currently in the free version, but this is coming soon. So what is powering this? A lot of people have been asking, and a lot of internet sleuths have been looking, and it would appear that Anthropic is currently using Brave to actually power their search for this chatbot. The way we know this, a couple different ways. Someone was recently testing, they would do searches on Anthropic's Claude over on Simon Wilson's web blog. Shout out to Simon Wilson. He was doing searches, and he was seeing that for most of the time, Claude was giving the exact same responses as if you just search over on Brave. So that was kind of his first clue. If we go and look at, if you go to Vanta.com, they have Anthropic's like Trust Center, where they're showing, and I think this is created by Anthropic, where they show, if they're SOC 2 compliant, and, if they're HIPAA configuration, like all this kind of like, making sure they're safe, all their and other illegal stuff. And if you scroll down on here, there is a tab that says sub processors. These are the companies that they're using, and they kind of publish them. So there's Google Cloud, Amazon Web Service, Cloudflare, Stripe. These are all the things you'd expect. If you get to the bottom of the list, Intercom, right, for customer support. If you get to the bottom of the list, you see the newly added Brave search. So I think this is probably the most clear indicator that they are using Brave to power this. And the reason why I believe this is interesting is because ChatGPT has a famous kind of partnership with Microsoft, obviously, and they're using Bing to power their search. But they also say they're using a couple other tools that are essentially they're not telling anyone what they are. And the big one, it's like, so like a lot of these AI companies want to kind of keep some of their tools secret, maybe so that other people aren't copying them and all that kind of stuff. But in this case, or like, so with Microsoft and Bing and stuff, like they obviously want to publish that because Microsoft wants a good PR out of it. So yeah, anyways, they're not going to publish it, but they're apparently using stuff, some secret stuff. I wonder if OpenAI is also using some Brave search products, but just can't publicly say that because of their partnership with Microsoft. And then now we have Claude using it. So that's going to be some of the biggest ones. And the one other one that has a publicly released statement on this is actually Mistral's Le Chat model, the French ChatGPT competitor, pretty much, that has a lot of open source stuff. They are also using Brave Search. So a ton of different companies are using them. This is really fascinating. I'll give you more details as this gets rolled out. I'm really hoping, my final verdict on all of this is, congratulations Anthropic for adding this in. Really excited. Really would like to see this for all free users. I think if they do that, they can actually get a sizable part of the market of people that are using them and search over on Perplexity to switch back to using it on the main platform. I think it's worth it. You can rate limit people if they're not paying, but I think they definitely should. I think they definitely should add this to the free tier. So hopefully we see that soon. I will keep you up to date on all of that. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. We really appreciate every single one of you as our listeners. And if you appreciate this episode, the number one thing that we would really appreciate is just a review on the podcast. We appreciate you listening. We love making these for you. And again, if you're interested in joining my AI Hustle School community, where I talk about growing and scaling your career or your business with AI tools, you could check that out. There's a link in the description. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.